Hello. All right, so we gotta get moving on this stuff, right? So we ended yesterday. We did phonological and phoneme awareness, and then we continued and we did phonics, and now we are on to fluency. All right, so we have quite a bit to cover today, so I'll get moving. Okay. So as you jump on, we'll wait for just a few minutes. Make sure that you share this for anybody that wants to learn more about reading and why things are going wrong today. And it's really unfortunate, it really is. So we need to figure out what we need to do to make it better. And I have the group over here on my phone. Hopefully you guys can see me okay. And then I have you guys here on the page. So my name is Raven Woods. I'm the CEO and founder of Autism Mama Rocks the IEP, and I help parents gain the knowledge and the confidence to become the CEO of their IEP meeting. So if you are new, post a 1 below, okay? If you're an oldie but goodie, make sure you post a 2 below, all right? So I'll kind of be going back and forth, okay? So fluency is one area that many people get confused with, all right? It's almost the verbiage is what confuses you. So let me explain what I mean by that, okay? So, I think I said this a little bit in my the day one first series. This is the reading series. It was the first video where I explained how parents will tell me how their child is reading great and they're doing amazing, but then they can't understand what they're reading. So my comment to that is then in fact they are not reading. So if your child is fluent in their reading, that doesn't mean that they are a good reader, because if they're not understanding what they're reading, which is the purpose, the sole purpose of reading, then they are in fact not reading. Okay? So unless your child, hi Laura, unless your child can comprehend what they're reading, the only thing that they are doing is reading words. Okay? So we're going to talk about fluency. Again, yesterday we talked about phonemic awareness and phonological processing and word recognition. Okay, so phoneme awareness and phonics are all part of word recognition, which is the area in which your child has to start in order to make progress in reading. So yes, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live on the group or on the page, and post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. So as I said initially, if your child does not have the alphabetic principle in the umbrella of the science of reading, which is what and where science is in regards to reading. I've done a lot of research on this and had some mentoring, if you will, because you guys know reading's like one of my favorites, reading and behavior, right? And so, I've really studied this because, and I'm not a reading specialist, but I think I'm pretty darn good in reading. And, what's really interesting about the science of reading is not just the extensiveness of research and science that backs it up, but they are very adamant about the fact that the way in which we are teaching our kids today is in fact not working. And it's actually setting our kids even more behind because they're wasting time on things that are just not where they are yet. When we were talking yesterday, we spoke a lot about how, reading, it's like a building block. You have to build in order to get where you want to go. And that's just how it works. It's like with anything else in life. We have to build off of something in order to get somewhere. And so it's really, hi Deborah, hi Sue, hi Wendy. All right, make sure you guys say hi. Hi Lori, how are you? Hi Tracy, hi Tamara. Hi, Christina and Maria. Welcome, welcome. So, and if you're not part of this amazing group over here that I have on my phone, you guys got to join the group. Just put in the search bar Autism Mama Rocks IEP group. It's an amazing group. Everybody talks to each other and they give each other advice. And, every now and then, as you guys know, in the group, I'll chime in and give my 411. And, and if there's some corrections I need to make, I'll do that. But for the most part, these women are pretty darn great. And, they're always wanting to learn and learning more. And you guys are awesome. I love my group. All right. So let's just go back a little bit and, talk about the alphabetic principle. All right. So that is the basics. All right. And after the alphabetic principle is when you build and get into phonics and phoneme awareness, all right, which is word recognition. If your child can't recognize words, then they are not going to be able to read, all right? So they may be able to read words, but if they can't recognize those words, they're not going to be able to read. And remember, in order to be able to read, you have to be able to comprehend, all right? So now we're moving on to fluency. Remember, we're playing red flag, green, what is it? Green flag, red flag. Do you guys remember that game? We played it yesterday in regards to reading. That used to be my favorite game, as a kid, was red light, green light. So we're playing green flag, red flag today. I remember I used to love musical chairs, and I used to love red light, green light. I was really good at it. Okay, so green flag for fluency, okay? Instruction, and this is based off the science of reading, and, it's, remember the formula and the simple view of reading, which is under the science of reading. Hi, Jasmine, how are you? Hey, Kim. So it's decoding and word recognition, okay, multiplied by language comprehension, okay, equals reading comprehension. All right, so that's the formula of the simple view of reading. All right, so now moving on, fluency. Instruction includes teacher-led modeling, oral reading by students, and immediate feedback. All right, so hi, BB, how are you? Hey, Erin. Hi, Irene. I feel bad I can't always listen to you. That's okay. Catch the replay, and you're welcome to message me on WhatsApp anytime. Okay? So that is a green flag, which means, all right, the green flags are indications that that instructional practice is aligned with the science of reading, all right? And a red flag is an indication that the instructional practices are not aligned with the science of reading. So as I said, the science of reading is what's backed up by years and years and years of research, and it's now coming out and has really since the 70s and 80s, and 80s and 90s got even more, where I said there was reading wars that are still going on. Hey, Lori. So these reading wars are still going on today, okay? And it's pretty nuts. And, there's all these different opinions, and honestly, they piss me off, because why have all these different opinions based off no data? And to top it off, all these opinions are going back and forth, nothing's being resolved, and no one's fixing anything. So if we're going to go back and forth and we're going to have a debate about something, then at least let's have the goal of a resolution, meaning our children make progress, right? Hi, Debbie, how are you? So that is what's important to me, all right? So when I say that's important to me, it's important to me because I want all of our children to make progress. My child is one of the children that did not make progress for a long, long, long time. And, she's now at Linda Mood Bell. And, I think I've said to you guys, she's made a year's progress in just 10 months. And, that in itself, guys, taught me a lot. Because it's not me raving, oh my gosh, my child's doing so much better. It's not that at all, because she still has a long way to go. But the thing is I'm happy and I brag about it because, well, number one, I'm proud of her. But number two, and she still has deficits though. I want her to have deficits. I mean, I don't want her to have deficits, but I'm okay with the deficits and the needs and the things that she struggles with. We all struggle with something, right? So What is important though, and to be mindful about this, is that it showed that the school system was wrong when they said she cannot make progress. I'll never forget the psychologist saying in an IEP meeting, which I kicked her out of the IEP meeting, by the way, immediately, like literally right then and there. Like I wanted to crawl across the table and punch her in her face. Like no joke. That's literally how I felt. Like she literally looked me in my face after an evaluation that Skylar had, and she said, your child can't make any more progress and you need to just deal with it. I almost lost my mind. I mean, can you imagine? And I mean, it was so hurtful, but at the same time, in my mind, I was thinking, I've always gone with my gut. And, I've talked to you guys about this before. I've gotten real and down to, the bottom with you guys in regards to, sure, when we find out that our kids have special needs, I mean, I don't know about you, but it was a shock to me at first. I mean, I had to take time to digest it and to accept it and to, just adjust and, figure out, okay, what the hell am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like, I had two other children and, typical children. And, I'm thinking, trying to figure out what's going on. It was like during the times of Jenny McCarthy and all that whole, crap going on. And so I just felt bad for myself for quite some time. And then I got over myself and I just went to work. That's where I got my Google PhD though, guys. So, it's one of those things where you have to just, adjust and you move forward and you accept your children as they are. And, but what's so funny is just in my gut, what I was getting at is in my gut, I knew that there was no way that she could not make progress. Now, is it going to be a huge jump? Maybe not. Probably not. I don't know. But even myself as the mother, I could not say to anybody, or to anybody in regards to their child, hey, your child can't learn. Like, I'm not qualified to say that. Hey, Jenna, so I am not qualified to tell any parent or any human being for that matter that your child can't learn, because that would just be beyond my like just beyond my scope of expertise, along with the fact that it's hurtful and the fact that I would not be 100% accurate or really know. I'd be just assuming that I hope no parent has to hear what I heard. But what makes me happy is that she's made a year's progress in 10 months, and she didn't do that in 5 years at the district. So she proved them wrong, and I thought that was freaking awesome, right? Hi, Mariabella, how are you? Yes, I had my son's psychologist try to tell me screw them, right? Hi, Conscious, how are you? Okay, so let's keep going. So red flag with fluency, which again, I don't like fluency, guys. I like fluency once the comprehension comes and then they're fluent in their reading. It's like music, right? So, they're fluent readers that they're reading words, they're recognizing those words, and then they're able to comprehend them, and they're fluent in the process that they're doing that in. Okay, so you can look at words per minute, you can look at speed at that point and how fluent they are in that reading. But in my opinion, that is the least of my concerns. I'm more concerned with the word recognition, the phoneme awareness, the phonics, and all the beginning steps. And of course that, the alphabetic principle that they have to have before they even get to word recognition, right? So, all right, so red flag would be instruction focuses primarily on student silent reading. Do you see the difference? Where one is about modeling and oral reading by the students and immediate feedback by the instructor. Where the red flag, which is instructional practices that are not aligned with the science of reading, is primarily on silent reading. That makes no sense to me. And then, so going back to red flag, reading accuracy and automaticity are emphasized, okay? So then on red flag, it says rate is emphasized over accuracy. Crazy. And then attention is given to students reading words quickly. All right. Where remember, this is a step-by-step process. So being a step-by-step process, why would you emphasize rate over accuracy? I would rather a student be super slow, a super slow reader, but accurate, than to base themselves off rate, high rows, and not be accurate. I mean, that doesn't even make sense to me, right? So it's not how slow you are, it's how proficient you are at what you're doing. Okay? How productive is it? All right? Not that you're slow. It's okay to be slow, but we want to get the job done. So they need to be able to read. That's all I care about. All right, so back to green flag. Word level fluency practice is provided, all right, by the teacher. And red flag would be word level fluency practices is not provided, and fluency is viewed only as text reading fluency. Back to green flag. Fluency is measured using a normed oral reading fluency assessment, okay? So that's important to remember. You can look these up. It's an oral reading fluency assessment, all right? Where red flag fluency assessments allow teachers acceptance of incorrectly decoded words if they are close in meaning to the target word, all right? Hi, Tara. How are you? So, automaticity, the word I could not speak, is performing a reading task. I like to do the vocabulary with you, and I'm going to start posting pictures so that you can see, so that you remember. Someone asked me yesterday, hey, can you post something on this? So yes, I'm going to post pictures of like vocabulary and different things for you so that you have the pictures, you can save them, whatever you want. But I'm going to do vocabulary, I'm going to do some, statistics, I'm going to do some research, and I'm going to start posting a lot of things throughout this whole reading process, okay? So the automaticity is performing a reading task without conscious effort. For example, reading connected text with automaticity means that there is no conscious attention paid to decoding words. Because remember, yesterday we talked about word recognition and that the goal is word recognition, and that, the bottom line of all of that is for the child to be able to process through phonology and orthography, okay, which is how it sounds and how it's spelled, right? So for a typically developed reader, a fluent reader who can comprehend and everything, all right, it's very, very important for them to be fluent and quick. They should be able to shout out those words and it be something that is just built into their brain and just flows, okay? Which is why it's a step-by-step process, because as they're doing those steps, look, I'm going backwards. As they're doing those steps, they are what? Processing the information in their brain versus things that are not aligned with the science of reading. There's nothing being processed in the brain. That is solely memorize, do, memorize, do, memorize, do, and then later on they lose it all. Okay? Which is why we're in this reading war of, issues that are going on. All right? Now, I spoke about this yesterday. I'm going to speak about it today. The problem in our schools is not that teachers are bad. It's the lack of knowledge and experience in this area. Do you know there's an article out there that is all about teachers and their comments to being super frustrated at, the colleges they went to and, where they graduated from and the education they received, because there was no reading instructions specified, or one area, if you will, on reading instruction. It's not there. All right. So when you are in school and you're going to be a teacher, it's very general and it's about, lesson plans and this, that, and the other, but there's nothing referencing the science of reading or how to appropriately teach a child to read. Because, I was in an IEP meeting today, 4.5 hours long, and, it was just one of those things where here's what was amazing is the principal knew all about the science of reading. So her and I, we were on the same page, all right, which was awesome. I even asked her, I said, do you train your staff? Because, we talked about that yesterday. You have to invest in what you want to get better, all right? So you have to, invest money to make money, right? You have to invest in people for them to do well, all right? For them to help them succeed. So school districts need to invest in their teachers in order to solve this problem. Hi, Vivi, how are you? Okay, so in order to solve this problem, we have to invest in our teachers because their lack of knowledge and their lack of experience in the science of reading is not their fault. All right, we're not talking about good teachers and bad teachers. That's always, all right, there's good people, bad people, good teachers, bad teachers. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is that teachers are not intentionally trying to screw up your kids. All right, so most. Okay, but what is happening is the result is there's no reading and no processing and no comprehension, but yet their goals are all about comprehension, possibly some in decoding. Very rarely do I see spelling goals. Very rarely do I see phonemic awareness and specific phonics goals. Okay, you want to stay away from sight words, focus on more CVC words. All right, you don't want to, sight words are about memorization. All right, and so sight words are not a great thing. All right, now they are good if combined with phonics and phonemic awareness, if done appropriately. Like everything else, if taught appropriately, the how, right, then your child will make progress. It's all about the how. All right. You know what? That is a good t-shirt, right? All right. Remember I said at the end of this month, we're going to get t-shirts together and you guys, I need to do a poll. So you guys, I'll put it on my group. So you guys better join my group, Autism Mama Rocks IEP group, put it in the search bar. So I'm going to do a poll on t-shirts. Okay. And I'm going to create all kinds of different t-shirts and I'll always be creating t-shirts, but that's a good t-shirt, isn't it? It's all about the how. That's a good one. Okay. All right. So moving forward, normed. What does that mean? Okay. So normed is an assessment. So think about assessments, right? I talk about assessments all the time. So those of you who have not had assessments for your children, it's time to do it. Okay. Just because summer's coming doesn't mean we don't put in for it. That doesn't mean you don't start getting your IEP in order and clean house and, basically how I say it is get your IEP on point. All right. That's another t-shirt. Okay. Get your IEP on point. All right. That's present levels, goals, services, accommodations, modifications, everything combined. So normed assessments results in scores that are norm referenced. So basically what it is it's taking your child's score and comparing it to others within that grade age level, which remember, there's a little bit of a hiccup with that because if you take a kindergartner, they're 5 years old, but you have your kindergartners that go in at 6 because of their birthday. So if you're taking a norm referenced assessment and comparing it in reference to age, it would not be adequate. But if you did it in comparison to grade, then it would be adequate. So pay attention to those things because that does matter, okay? Is it a huge deal? Is it something to throw a big shit fit about? No. But is it important? Yes, okay? All right, so look, we're moving pretty quickly here. All right, I'm moving. All right, I'm at 23 minutes, okay? The last 2 times have been an hour and 20 minutes. I'm not doing that today. All right, so now we're at language comprehension, okay? That is not reading comprehension. That is language comprehension, so background knowledge, all right? So green flag is read aloud opportunities feature a variety of complex texts, so narrative and expository texts. Hi, Dana. Above grade level to develop a background knowledge and vocabulary in a variety of subject areas. All right, so read aloud opportunities. Red flag is read aloud opportunities emphasized stories or narrative text. Read aloud text is not sufficiently complex. All right, where the other one is about the background and the knowledge and the vocabulary, okay, in a variety of subject areas. So it's expanding their knowledge to expand their reading and the language in which they're reading. All right. So when a child learns to read and they are at this point, they've got the word recognition, they've dealt with the phonemic awareness, they've dealt with the phonics, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And then they're reading fluently, which does come next. All right. So you have to word recognize, then you can fluently read those words. So now you see what I'm saying? So it's not just because your child's fluent doesn't mean squat. All it means is they can read words, but they have to be able to read and recognize words in order to read. So it's still part of the step-by-step process. It's just not, you don't want to say to somebody, oh, my child can read, if your child in fact cannot comprehend. All right? So don't twist that. All right, so opportunities, green flag, all right? Opportunities are provided to make connections between a new word or concept and other known words or concepts relating ideas to experiences. All right, what happens? Hi, Hannah. So when we relate things to experiences, we're able to process them better because they relate to something that we remember, something we know. All right. So when you can relate something to a experience, a life experience that you've had or are having, etc., then you're more likely to remember it and it be solid. All right. So it's not a memorized thing because it's something within your life that you're experiencing and it's something that you're going to hold on to. Where, you know, if it's not related to things that you are experiencing, then it's a little bit more difficult because you're not referencing it to anything and it's new, right? So red flag is opportunities to bridge existing knowledge to new knowledge is not apparent in instruction. So opportunities to bridge existing knowledge to new knowledge, okay? Yes, my son responds better when he uses visuals. Gotcha. All right, and visuals are okay, but in word recognition, visuals should be non-existent. All right, it should be solely just what they're seeing, and that's it. All right, obviously you got to see the words, but no pictures. All right, so pictures should not be related to those words that they're reading because they got to recognize the letters and the words, and a picture is not going to bring that out. It's just going to make them start memorizing what that picture means, and then when that word just pops up and there's no picture, they're not going to understand it at that point. Does that make sense? So pictures come later, and it can help a lot with comprehension. But in the beginning phase, when they're just starting to recognize words and recognize, you know, what those words mean, all right, and are able to put them together, the decoding part, you don't want pictures involved, all right? Tara says, oh man, can you come to Iowa May 4th? No, but I have an IEP. I think it's May 4th. So, yeah, I think it's May 4th actually. But I have an IEP in Iowa May 4th. So let's get to the topics of what these things mean, all right? So I like to explain what they mean to you so you understand this verbiage that is probably foreign language to many of us, all right? So the narrative, what does that mean? Okay, so it's text that relates to a series of events, all right? And it can include fiction or nonfiction, all right? And expository means text that provides factual information about a topic, all right? And background knowledge is subset of knowledge, all right? And it's knowledge needed to comprehend a situation, lesson, or text. You have to have that background knowledge, all right? All right, so let's move on. Look, we're really moving today. We are moving. All right, so now we're on vocabulary, all right? Do you see how we're not even close to comprehension yet? All right, that's what I mean about my 2-year-old uses PECS. Yeah, that's excellent for the babies. Yes, excellent for the babies. Because it's basically showing them pictures so that they're being able to relate to life things that happen to them because their brains are not able to process words at that time. So now they have these pictures and these, you know, awareness things happening, all right? So it's almost going to go hand in hand with phoneme awareness because it's helping them recognize certain things that are now going to then be transcribed, Dana, into word recognition once they get older. Does that help? My daughter did PECS too. It was excellent. And, you know, I even, you know, put at home. You can let him out, babe, because he's going crazy. Rocco, again, y'all, you know how annoying he is. He's at 1 year old, and he'll sit in his cage and he will whine. You would think that someone was doing something crazy to him, you know? All right. So it's just really important, though, to David. Can you get him? It's just really important to understand that everything begins with word recognition. All right. All right. So let's move on to this vocabulary. So vocabulary instruction. So we're talking about red, or not red, green. All right. So vocabulary instruction includes robust conversation in order to support an understanding of literal and inferential comprehension of word knowledge within text. All right. So a robust conversation the teacher is having with the students in order to support an understanding of literal and inferential comprehension of word knowledge within that text that they're reading. Okay? Red flag, so that is, again, green flag is aligned with the science of reading. Red flag is not aligned at all with the science of reading. Okay? And so that's important to remember. So vocabulary instruction, red flag, does not include opportunities for rich conversations. Worksheets or activity sheets are used instead. So let me explain something here. If you look at yesterday's video, if you haven't seen yesterday's video, go back and watch it. All right, it's on the group and it's on the page. One of the things I want you to pay attention to is something I'm going to say right now. All right, one of the big differences that you may see between the green flag and the red flag is the fact that the green flag teachers actually give the kids the opportunity and the ability to read out loud, to talk about what they're reading, and to freely communicate what it is that they're seeing, hearing, and so forth. Because remember that, how words are stored in the brain is, again, through its phonology and orthography. All right, so that orthographic mapping is important. All right, so when a child can orthographic, these are such hard words. I'm having trouble with words myself. All right, so orthographic mapping is very important. All right, and it's, understanding how a word sounds and the way in which it's spelled. All right, so when you go back to that, all right, you're talking about the green flag kiddos that are learning in the right way are able to, it even says robust conversations. They're able to communicate. They're able to use that language that they're learning, and they're able to put it to use and to work. Whether they're right or wrong, they're given the opportunity to practice and be wrong over and over and over until they get it. Where the red flag are thrown worksheets, taught to memorize, all of these things. That's happening right now in our schools today. And what's happening? 40% of kids today are able to read. The other 60% are thrown under the rug and to each his own. All right? Because then when we go and we're aggressive and, go crazy on the school and whatever it is that you do, all right, then what happens? We just need to give them time. We have a reading specialist, but, she doesn't work directly with students. I mean, I've heard it all. I have heard it all. All right. They do not want to do direct instruction. They will fight that to the end. All right. So if you're going to fight for reading, you better know your stuff, because they will fight you and you will not win that fight, because they do not want to do direct instruction. They do not want, and here's the thing, direct instruction also constitutes as a small group. Did you know that? So direct instruction, you need to clarify it. It needs to go into your IEP very specifically. Direct one-to-one instruction in the speech therapy room or whatever it is. All right. But if it just says direct, that could be a small group. Okay? And let me tell you about something. I just read a huge, I shouldn't even tell you because I'm going to talk about it. Okay, I'll tell you. I can't help myself. All right, I just read a huge, amazing scholarly article on how it has been researched, observed, and so forth. And there's science to back it up now, where group instruction is actually not better. Oh my God, that's for another story. But let me tell you, I almost fell out when I read this the other day. Rocco, do not squeak that. So, literally, I'm going to talk about this in this series, but can you believe it? I just read this, okay? And the article, it's a scholarly article, and it's about how the title, hold on, I'll tell you real quick what the title is. It is, give me 2 seconds. Okay. Pulling it up, guys. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, here we go. It is called, yeah, this was crazy. Super crazy. I can't wait to talk about it though. The title is Our Reading Group Setting Our Children Up for Success? Question mark. Maybe not. Yep, that's what it's called. So it's crazy. So, it goes into detail. I'll just give you a little bit before I continue. It says reading has become ambiguous in American classrooms as a way to target instruction to students' learning needs. Evidence suggests that the practice may be less beneficial than teachers think. It can exacerbate achievement gaps and even slow reading growth for some children unless the groups, all right, are fluid and focused on skills rather than overall achievement. In quotes. What we frequently see is slight movement of students. You don't generally see them jumping 2 levels at a time when we only do data reviews 3 times a year. And the guy that did a lot of this research his name was Eric Cardwell, and he's a principal at Besser Elementary School in Michigan. And it's a huge article. It was awesome. And, I was really floored when I read it, to be quite honest, because I never really thought about that. Have you guys? I just never really thought, other than the fact that I'm not really a fan of groups, but I didn't really have any concrete reason as to, wow, that's huge and changed. It does. And the thing is it's scholarly now because it was a principal who has his PhD and, he did this research. All right. And then he backed it up with other researchers. And then at the end of the article, how it has all the areas of where the research came from and who supported it and, the different evaluations that were done. I got to plug up my phone, guys. Hopefully I have a plug over here. Oh, shit. You guys might die over here on my thing. All right. So I may have to get up and get that. So here's the crazy thing is, do you know how many kids are given group therapy? I mean, that's what schools want to throw in people's faces these days. Oh, well, we don't want to do direct instruction because group is going to be better. I hear it all the time. Group is going to be better. Well, how do you know group is going to be better? Because I don't see any benefit of being with other children that I don't know where they are in reading. You know what I mean? So that's what you guys got to think about. All right, we all have children with special needs. Where my child is may not be anywhere near where your child is. So why would you want my child in your child's reading group not knowing where she is? She could actually hold your child back. She could, because she may be struggling so much that your child is not struggling that bad. They just have a little bit of a deficit, or they're in a different area. Say my child's in the phoneme awareness and word recognition, but your child is at the fluency or vocab area. So if we have kids on different areas and focused on different things, how is a group going to be productive? And it's actually going to be counterproductive. And that's why he's saying, he goes into this. And, well, that is somewhat true, that they do learn from their peers, but in certain areas. It's with everything, Kids learn from what is modeled, okay, by other kids, by siblings, etc., by parents, all of those things, all right? But those are life experiences, all right? How to tie your shoes. Okay, I saw my big sister do that. Okay, I can tie my shoe. Oh, I saw dad hammer, a nail into a piece of board. Okay, what do you see a 2-year-old do? Oh, he's hammering like daddy, right? Well, when you're talking about reading and core instruction, like math and reading, that is not something that you're going to be able to model from somebody, all right? Give you an example. I got to get something to plug in my phone, guys. Sorry, because I don't want to lose my group people. So give me a second. But here's the crazy thing is the fact that, that thought process, like, you're saying here of the excuse that they learn from peers, all right? And the excuse that schools are saying, oh, well, they're going to learn from each other. Well, if someone has bad habits, does that mean I'm going to learn from them because they're in my group? No, what I'm going to learn is the bad habits. If you have a child with behavior issues, throw them in a classroom with other kids with behavior issues, what's going to happen? Those behavior issues are going to spike. Why? Because that's what they see. That's what they're part of every single day. I find that to be really surprising. Guys, if I lose you, I'm going to come back. I promise. Hold on one second. All right, let's hope I can connect this. Let's see. Hopefully I can connect this, right, guys? And it reaches. All right. Let me see. I don't even know if it's going to be long enough, y'all. I don't think it is. Yeah, I might have to move this. I don't know. Let me see if I can pull this up. All right, that might work. I don't know. Well, I need a longer thing, y'all. Okay, hold on. I think I have an idea. Hold on. All right, I got this thing. For the 12, how they have this thing. Rocco, you know how they have this thing? Have you guys seen these? All right, so let's see if I can do this. All right, so now it's, hang on, guys. Okay, I think it's charging now. There we go. Hopefully it's charging. Okay. How are you guys? All right, hang on. Let me see if I can post it or put it right here and it not fall all over the place. Okay, cool. Okay, so where's my stuff? Okay. All right, so let's continue. So yeah, the group thing threw me through a loop. Threw me through a loop. Because I never thought about it that way. So you know how I say I always learn something new? There you go. Now you learn something new. Now what are we going to do about that? I'm like, oh shit, what are we going to do? Because what are we going to do? You know what I mean? Like, now we have articles coming out in reference to, does anyone know the title from the scholarly article? I told everybody. So what I don't understand is why these things aren't being screamed out to the universe. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are we just sitting here and not doing anything? Like, why are educators not changing what they're doing. You know, someone told me, oh, well, they're too stuck in what they're doing, and to provide other training, to provide, you know, different methodologies and have more practices brought into the schools and different ways to teach children does what? It brings in, you know, it costs them money, and it changes things up. So what do they have to do? They have to actually train their teachers. So it causes more work for them, and they're bitching about it. All right. And it's Eric Cardwell. Okay. So, and the article is called "Are Reading Groups Setting Our Children Up for Success?" ? Maybe not. Okay. But I'm going to be posting about it soon. Okay. All right. So let's move on. So green light. All right. Tier 2 words are taught explicitly, with students taught to use these words in their speech, see them in print, and use them in writing when appropriate. All right? Red flag, Tier 2 words are not taught deeply. So that is one thing. Past legislation, they don't implement change until they're taught. Yeah. One of the things that I've found interesting is, you know, all those things with the red flag, they don't put any effort into. They stop. They say, here you go. Okay. Next day they do something else. You know, they're not creating a foundation. All right. You have to create a foundation with reading. All right. And then build off of it. And if you don't, you're just setting them up for failure. Do you know? I think I put it on the stairs. I had an IEP today where the occupational therapist and speech therapist put, it was 8 goals, 8 into one annual goal. When I started arguing this, I said, your goals are great. I said, I'm going to reword them, but the goal in itself was great. I said, but there is no way in hell that you can put 8 goals in one. So she says, well, all of the short-term objectives, all 7 short-term objectives, built on this annual goal. I said, how does that make any sense? I said, you have 7 goals as short-term objectives and then an annual goal that meets all of those objectives. I said, they're not objectives, they're goals within themselves. All right. So I said, all 7 of those, I said, a couple of them can be actually combined, need to be separate goals. Okay. And then your short-term objectives are literally a copy and paste of that goal, changing the percentage in which they have to be. Okay. So if your end goal, which is always for me at 90%, then your first short-term objective would be 60, the second one at 70, the third one at 80%, and then your annual at 90%. All right, the same goal. Nothing changes in the goal except the prompt and the percentage. That's it. And then make sure you specify your prompt, verbal prompt, you know, whatever the prompt is. All right, visual prompt, etc. I like verbal prompts. All right. I don't try to, you know, you want kids to picture things, but you don't want to give them too many pictures because it takes away from the learning. I know that sounds very confusing. All right. But pictures take away from learning. All right. So, all right, let me just explain, like with Linda Mood Bell. They don't show pictures. They help teach the child how to paint pictures in their own head with no visual. Because word recognition is not seeing anything but that letter. Okay? So, like Dana was saying, you know, her 2-year-old's doing PECs. That's fine. That's a baby. They need to see pictures, you know, like in books. They're read books and you show them the pictures. And, you know, Dana, you probably say, okay, point to, you know, what's that one book called, you know, Good Night Moon. You know, that used to be one of my favorite books. And so you say, okay, well, point to the moon, point to the bed, point to this, and you have them, you're teaching them about the pictures and the books, and that's what gets them excited is, they get to participate in you reading that book to them, but that's the age your baby's at, and so as they grow and we're getting into reading, then that's where pictures have to go away, and it is a focus in that beginning stage of phonemic awareness and phonics. All right. So, this principal, all right, who did have knowledge in the science of reading, she and I were pretty much on the same page, but we kind of argued a little bit about sight words, and we argued a little bit about how she didn't know what the alphabetic principle was, which is the basics. And she said that the student didn't need to have the alphabetic principle first, which they do. And afterward, she and I know my science of reading. So I questioned myself and I kind of left it alone for a hot second because it wasn't something that was going to affect anything in the IEP. So after the meeting, I then looked it back up and, and then even messaged, my friend who is 100% proficient. She's an expert in the science of reading. And she was like, no, you have to have the alphabetic principle. And then what comes next is the word recognition, which the principal did say was, number one. She said it was number one, which it is somewhat number one, but you have to have the alphabetic principle to understand word recognition. Do you see how that doesn't make sense? Right, Susan? I mean, how can you have and start at word recognition, which is what she said, if you don't understand the alphabetic principle, which is the alphabet? What the hell do you think word recognition is? That didn't make sense to me, but it made me question myself. So if I'm going to question myself in an IEP, just knowingly just left it be because it wasn't something that affected anything, don't allow that to be something that affects you in an IEP meeting, all right? You can always table it. You can always just leave it alone, find out your stuff, and then come back, all right? And the thing is like she made me question it because I was like, she kept saying, oh, well, I'm trained in it and this, that, and the other. And I was like, you may be trained in it. I mean, a lot of people are trained in something, but that doesn't make them proficient in it. All right. I want to hear you. If I was speaking to you, all right, and I was not speaking things that were facts, people would start questioning everything that I said and did. All right. And do I know everything? Absolutely not. But I don't preach things I don't know. And if I don't know, I'm somebody who will go find out. All right. So that is what is the difference between being proactive and not. So when it comes to your kids' education, you cannot be any more forceful in how proactive you are. Doesn't matter if you're a passive person. Doesn't matter if you're a quiet person. Doesn't matter about any of that. When it comes to academic instruction and the importance of, for example, reading, writing, and math, you want to be assertive, aggressive. And that's the way you need to come across because they're not going to listen to you if you don't. They will ignore you. Oh, we'll put it into the PWN. Have you guys ever heard that one? We'll put it into the PWN. And I remember back in the day, when they would say, oh, we'll put it in the PWN. I remember answering one time. I said, okay. I had no idea what the hell the PWN was. So I just said, okay. I had no idea that I had to react to that statement. And I had no idea that I had to react to the PWN because if it's not accurate, you need to immediately say something about that. You need to put it in writing that that is not accurate and they need to change it because it's a falsified statement on a legal document. All right. So that's super important. All right. So let's talk about explicit instruction, green light. Explicit instruction in morphology is provided. Okay. Red flag. Explicit instruction in morphology is not apparent. All right. You need some vocabulary now, guys. I did in the beginning. All right, so tier 1 is vocabulary words, okay? Words students already know the meaning of. For example, house, dog, car, school. Okay, so tier 2 vocabulary words are words that are not likely to be familiar, all right? And they are words that reflect a concept and they can identify with and can use in a conversation. So your child can identify with it, but it's not a familiar word, okay? It's words like shiver, excitement, remarkable, different words like that, okay? That words that kids know, but words that they're not familiar with, not ones that they use every day, okay? But they're building the vocabulary in tier 2, all right? So as you know, like tier 1 is your basics, your cat, hat, dog, school, house, all of those things, all right? So tier 3 vocabulary words they're words that are low frequency, okay, and domain specific. All right, so they appear to be specific in content and in content areas such as math, science, history, etc. All right, and so those words are very low frequency words. They're actually not used very much even by yourselves or myself. Okay, so morphology, that's probably the number one word that I had said that you were like, what does that mean? So that's the system of meaningful parts that make up a word. Okay? So the system of meaningful parts that make up that word. All right? That's why dyslexia curriculums cannot cross, because they pair different sounds with pictures. That's right. I feel like administrators prey on the quiet parents. So sad they see an opportunity to take advantage when they're not being challenged. Oh yeah, I have a client that she had, in all of her PWNs, because when I work with clients, Dana, I get all of your documents. I have this first email that goes out that, you guys probably flip out when you get it, because I'm like, okay, I need, the last 3 years of your IEPs. I need, your last 3 years of your PWNs. I need the last 3 years of your progress reports. I need this, and this, because I'm comparing all kinds of documents. I print it out because I'm a old schooler and I like to have it in my hand. And, I research all of my information for my clients so that I am on point with it. Kind of like I want your IEPs on point. I need to be on point in regards to your child so that I can advocate for them. And, one of the things that I see is not only are parents that are quiet or reserved or passive, etc. I call them, in color personalities, you got red, green, blue, and yellow. All right. So those are the parents that are yellows. Do you know yellows are teachers is underneath yellow? All right. Helpers. Yellow is helpers. All right. Do you guys know anything about color personality? I think it's so interesting because it's so freaking true. All right. And so blue is all about fun. If the word fun is in the sentence, they're all about it. All right. Then you have green. That's your analytical thinkers. They have to think about things before they make a decision, and they got to really understand and conceptualize everything that they're reading, understanding, and all of that. All right. And then you have your red. Okay. I have a lot of red in me. I have a lot of green in me and a little bit of blue. Believe it or not, I don't have a lot of yellow. Which is weird. So red is very much, they're loud and they're to the point, and they're typically they're very successful typically. Greens are as well. They're associated with that in the business world. Reds are very forward, to the point, cut to the chase. There's no, like I always joke, because my mom, like when she is telling me a story, she'll tell me a story that could take 5 minutes, and she'll tell me it for an hour. All right. So she goes around Robin Hood's barn to get to right here. All right. And I'm like, oh my God, Mom, just tell me, what's the point? Tell me what you're trying to tell me. And, so that is one of those areas, that it drives reds crazy, because me, just cut to the chase, don't bullshit, just get to the point, you know? And greens are just, you know, whatever, but they're very analytical in their thoughts. You got blue, they're all about the fun. If people are there, fun, involved, and all of that, they're part of that. And then you got your yellows, which are your caring personalities, your teachers, your social workers, you know, all of those type of people. So funny, right? I love this. Thanks for sharing. I went to art school and must have forgotten all this. Yeah, I mean, it's called color personality. You can look it up. But it's really, really cool. Here, let me see if I can pull up a visual for you, because I know visuals are great. And I'll just show you really quick. All right, this is a good visual. Let's see. Will this? Okay, so let me share my screen. All right, can you guys see this? It says unlock. Hold on. Trying to figure out how to flip it. Hold on. Hopefully I can. Okay, can you see now? All right, so let me take this part off from the system. Okay, so that's my picture. Why isn't it? Hang on. All right, so it's not showing anything. All right. Yeah, it's not showing it. Hang on. Here we go. Okay, perfect. All right. So this is color personalities. Can you guys see this? Give me a thumbs up if you can see it. Is this the bigger one? Yeah. Can you guys see this? Tell me if you can see it. Yes, no, what? Can you guys see it? No. All right. Can you see it now? It's like green, red, blue. Can you guys see that? If not, I'll post it. I'll just post it. How about that? All right, I'll just post it. Okay, I'll just post it. No big deal. All right, so here we go. So we're going to move on. All right, where am I at? I'm at an hour. Damn it. All right, so we have knowledge, language, reading comprehension, writing. Okay, so we're going to have to continue this tomorrow too. So I'll finish knowledge of language structures, and then we will do reading comprehension, writing, assessments, and overall instructional design tomorrow. Okay? All right, so knowledge of language structure. Green flag. All right, there is a clear scope and sequence for teaching conversations and conventions of print, which that sounds weird to me, but okay. Grammar and syntax, sentence, okay, that makes sense. Sentence structure in reading and writing. All right, so there's a clear scope of the sequence of what's happening, what's transpiring. Red flag. There is not a clear scope and sequence for teaching. Conventions of print, grammar, and syntax are taught implicitly and or opportunistically. All right. So again, you're seeing that whole, you know, just not being done appropriately on the red end, where things are done very thorough on the green end. Green. Instruction includes sufficient time for discussion, including teacher modeling of conversations, conventions, appropriate tone and rate. I think that's fabulous. And development of full ideas and complete sentences. Do you see how much time is put into the green side and the science of reading? Time, modeling, ideas, conversation, etc. Practice, steps. Red side, short, memorization, half-assed, doesn't complete the job, what our kids are doing today. All right? So now we're moving to, it's a verbal reasoning. All right? So green flag, inferencing, or inferencing? Yeah, I said that right. I can't even read. So inferencing is explicitly taught within text, including opportunities for metacognition, all right, and use of appropriate, accurate background knowledge. Okay? Look, it's still saying, is it not? Here. All right. Hopefully you guys don't die. All right, red flag. Inferencing is not taught explicitly and may be based only on picture clues and not text, picture walking. So do you see how on the negative side, on the red side, guys, Dana, all right, so keep this in mind as your little one gets bigger, all right, that pictures is not the way to go, all right? Pictures is not the way to go. Word recognition is. All right, we don't want them memorizing a picture. We want them to know the word. All right, so literacy knowledge, and then we're going to end here with some vocabulary. So literacy knowledge, appropriate genre types and features are explicitly taught. All right, genre types and features are not explicitly taught on the red side. All right, so metacognition, what does that mean? That is thinking about thinking. Okay. Inference, that's using what you know and parts of text to comprehend what is not directly said in the text. All right? And genre, am I saying that right? Genre. Am I saying that right? How do you say that? Genre. Whatever. I don't know. All right? It's a type of text or literature that has a particular form and style. All right? So poetry, fiction, nonfiction, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? All right, so we're going to end there. Again, tomorrow we're going to get reading comprehension. All right, we're going to hit that pretty hard. We're going to talk about writing and the, sorry, group people, you just guys kind of went flat on your face. Okay, cool. Did I just flip it? Okay, I did. Poor group people. All right. So that is what we'll do tomorrow along with, the overall instructional design, assessments, and we'll wrap this part of the reading up. Am I even close to being done with this reading series? Nope. There's a lot to it. And, in the end, guys, I hope it gives you some just basic knowledge on at least in understanding why your child's struggling with reading, why so many children are struggling with reading. It's like a pandemic. It really is. It's wrong word, but it's that universally based. It's not just in the US. Now other countries surpass us by a long shot. Many other countries in the areas of reading, but all over children struggle with reading. In the US, it's even more prominent, and it has to stop. And like I said, it's not teachers purposely not educating our children. It is there was no education provided initially through their college and where they got their degree. So now they're relying on administration to provide the proper and adequate training. And we all know that administration is, a big ball of politics and bullshit. And so to get them to actually spend money on something that is going to be productive happens who knows when. And, it really, really sucks because guess who suffers? And, the only way to make the change, you're welcome, Del Rose, no problem. Tomorrow's what, Thursday? I keep saying I'm going to go live, like at night, but it's hard to go live at night. But I may do that. And I know next week I'm going to pick up and do a Q&A. So that you guys can take the first week of reading and maybe I'll do a Q&A on Monday before I continue with more of the series. All right. So that you guys can really grasp even better the the simple view of reading and what the science of reading is. All right. So the science of reading, okay, is the science behind a way in which to teach a child to read based on beliefs and practices and research and a crap ton of science. And it's proven that children, even with groups being separate, of things happening, and children who are not taught with the science of reading versus the children that are, and the difference in knowledge and how those kids turn out. There's even videos on it. And it's really, really sad to see so many people struggling to read, and even there's adults who have, made comments and is in articles in regards to them now learning how to read in the right way, and they didn't learn when they were younger, and it wasn't that they weren't taught. So then they're adults and they didn't know how to proficiently read, and they tell their story, and we were not taught the right way. We did not process the information in order to carry it with us through life. And let me think about that one, Tara. And it's just one of those things that you guys are going to have to take upon yourselves to really have that solid knowledge base. Because, I said this yesterday, for me to teach you the science of reading and just the concepts of it, not even brushing on the whole enchilada, okay? I'm just giving you kind of that 40-hour training that teachers get, all right? Where I'm helping you understand at least why. Why is my child not learning? What is being done wrong? And how is it that my child's being taught in the wrong way that they're not learning? Okay, so I hope that's what you at the end of this, I hope that's what you are able to put together. I hope it's what you are going to be able to put together in order to start asking yourself questions. Start writing things down and paying more attention to what it is that your child's doing. Maybe even test your child. Give them a book, in the area that the school says, okay, they're on this level. Okay, test them in that. See if that's true, and then ask questions. There's books out there, on different levels, those 1, 2, 3 books and whatever. You can get those books, and then some of those books at the end of the book have like a series of, basic questions. Start testing your kids. Figure out where they are yourselves, okay? And, really get a grasp for just that mental security of what's going on. All right. You may not know exactly. You may not know exactly where the deficit is. You may not know all the science. You may not know, be proficient in whatever. Okay. It doesn't matter. But just being able to process, okay, my child couldn't even read a level 2 or whatever the case may be. Then at least you're able to process and digest where it is that your child is. So you're able to then really put that on the table and say, no, you're wrong. This is what's going on, So if you're able to verbalize the things that are going on and how, when looking at the goals or when looking at, accommodations, accommodations are huge when it comes to reading as well, So you have to really pay attention to all the aspects of the IEP, how your child's taught, the goals. Do the goals even make sense? Do they even relate? That's one thing that I noticed and I have noticed in tons of IEPs is the evaluations would be done. Then the school, think about it. Evaluations would be done. Then the school, what? They provide you with a draft IEP, right? Then you look at the present levels and then are like, that doesn't match. And then you look at the goals and you're like, what? I mean, that's what I'm saying. What? How do you go from this evaluation to these present levels to these goals? They don't even make sense. You're starting off over here and then these two make no sense. the present levels and the goals. They're supposed to be in sync with one another. What's in the present levels is what makes the goal. And where do present levels come from? Where your child is right here and now. And then what it is that they're working on and what it is that their deficit is. And then a tiny bit of their strength of, okay, they mastered X. All right. Not their strength of they like recess and they can swing and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to hear any of that. I want to hear that they were working on double digit subtraction with regrouping and they have mastered that at 80%. That's a more strength where then it could be, now they're working on 3-digit, subtraction with regrouping and that's where they're struggling with and that's what they're working. You know what I mean? So you really have to be mindful of these things. So do you guys have any questions in regards to what we've covered thus far? And then I'm going to hop off here. I will hop on tomorrow. We will finish up this portion, the, red light, green light, and then we will move on to more crazy stuff. And when I say crazy, I mean crazy stuff. Okay? Lots of things going on, lots of issues. Lots of concerns. There's articles out there. There's an article out there. It's called The Coming Literacy Crisis. And then it says there's no going back to school as we know it and knew it. So it's true. It is actually, that's probably the best verbiage is a literacy crisis. In which we're in. We're in a literacy crisis. We're not just in a COVID crisis and kids that, when you guys go back to school next year, it's going to be a shit show. Okay. And so you gotta be on it now. Get your IEPs in order. All right. Because come next year, you think right now in hybrid and all that kind of stuff, or even if you've been in school this year, the kids have still been out this year. So next year, everything's going to change with administration and what they're going to do. They're going to have a whole new formula of how they're going to do things. And so then you're going to have to get with the times with that. And then it's just going to be this big mess. And, they're going to be playing with things that they haven't played with before. And so then in the midst of all that, we have your child or my child and our children who are struggling because of, not just because of their disability, but now because of COVID, where really compensatory services need to come into play. And you do not want to spend August, September, October, or November, or December fighting for a rock solid IEP, wasting half the year. Okay? All right. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. You're welcome, maybe if you don't have my WhatsApp link, I will post it or Erin can post it and you can message me on there. I hate Facebook Messenger because it gets all messed up. And if we're not friends, like personal friends on my personal page, then I don't see it. I got to push something else for me to see it. And so WhatsApp's great because I always have it on my phone. It's on my computer. It's awesome. So that's a good way to reach me. If, I only, I've had 4 spots available. I only have 2 now. So if you're interested in getting your IEP on point, I have 2 spots available now. So you're welcome to contact me and we can talk about that and see where you're at and what your situation is and go from there. So again, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Okay, I have the group people and I have the page people. If you're a part of the page but you're not part of the group, just put in the search bar Autism Mama Rocks IEP group and join the group. And if you are interested on the page to share this, please feel free. I'm sure there's lots of children or people out there that would love to, learn more just about reading in itself, because believe it or not, the 2 or really 3 struggles in school is in this order: reading, math, written expression, writing. Okay, so writing and written expression, same thing. Okay, so thank you, Maribella, Dana. Yeah, it's crazy. I should write a book, Maribella. No, I'm just kidding. No way would I do that. Lori says the school taught K-1 at no reading curriculum. I did my own research and bought my own beginning reader books for my kids. That's awesome. So Rose, what time tomorrow? Girl, I have no idea. No idea. So what else? Anybody else? Dana says, I love this. Thanks for sharing. Lori says, very much like zones of regulation. I'm a teacher, yellow and green, I feel. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So, and you group people have hung in there. You guys are awesome as well. Okay. So I will see you guys soon. Have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. And anybody that is into Chicago Fire and Chicago PD, that's on tonight. And anybody that is into Queen of the South, that's on tonight too, season 5. All right, guys, have a wonderful evening, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.